Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the most magical podcast in the Midwest, starring USA Today best-selling author J.B. Michaels and his more successful wife, J.B. Michaels, Ashley Michaels. And now, your hosts.
Oh.
Hey, thanks, announcer, and thank you for saying JB's name twice, because he is definitely deserving of twice billing. In this case. So hello, everybody. This is Magic in the Midwest podcast number 54, right? 54.
I don't know. If you're, deserving of double the shout-outs, then maybe you should figure it out
I thought
yourself.
This was your podcast.
Oh.
I thought this was your podcast and you were in charge.
You know, it's funny, guys. I have been told that I am crabby today and
listen to me.
One of us sounds, and one of us is interrupting the other one.
We need to call the hotline for sure. Call the hotline for me, please.
If it'll take him away, call it.
No, we'll take her away.
Either way.
Help.
We're taking dudes.
Help. Okay, no. So, how's it going, Ash? What's going on today?
Besides my husband? That's how I'm doing. Besides my husband being, a total, what's appropriate? Doof.
Besides my husband.
No, good. I'm good. I'm trying to turn it around. You're not
turn
helping.
it around. Turn it around.
See, but
okay, so...
don't interrupt me again.
Anyway, so, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we just want to say thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Also, welcome to new listeners who are also, listening to the podcast maybe for the first time, the second time, the 20th time, the 54th time. Also, ladies and gentlemen, we just want to know that you can help support the podcast for as little as $3 a month. Mm-hmm. If you go to magicinthemidwestpodcast.bandcamp.com, you can support the podcast and get a ton of extra audio content. A ton. So it's really great, and it's very entertaining. And I feel like there's just a lot there. You're really only getting part of the experience here. Yeah. On the Made Live podcast, you get much more on the other podcasts.
I think that the subscriber exclusives are actually funnier. And they're a little bit lighter, too. Sometimes we'll do SmackDowns, like, this attraction versus that attraction, or we'll rank things, and they're super fun. So if you're interested in that and interested in supporting the pod, head over to magicinthemidwestpodcast.bandcamp.com, and you can subscribe, like JB said. But you should check it out. And now, because we've been doing this for a while, there's quite the backlog of episodes that would be at your fingertips.
Yeah. We really have, a ton of extra content. So I know today it's all about the content. Like, it's weird. Like, unfortunately, in a strange way, Ash, like things like Netflix and Amazon Prime Video and Hulu and all, like the fact that content is there all the time, always, is
binge.
In a way,
the binge era.
It can be bingier, but it also, in a way, sometimes it sort of lessens it a little bit. Whereas like it used to be special to like watch something
Thursday
on television,
nights at 8 o'clock. Yeah,
right. And kids, the generation today, they don't really know that because everything's at their fingertips almost immediately.
Yeah, also, side note, I watched this cool documentary, it's kind of a documentary, on Netflix about Blockbuster, which just took me back. It was,
right.
Because there's still one left. There's one Blockbuster left in,
in the world.
Seattle, or, I don't know, somewhere,
right.
I don't think it's Seattle, it's somewhere more obscure, I think.
Right.
But yeah, I know what you mean. I feel like we're at that point where it's about... having everything there, having the content there.
It's there.
Yeah.
But honestly, to you guys, when you do the subscription to Bandcamp, not only do you get those extra episodes, but really, like, if it's something you love, you're definitely supporting it, right? So I just think that's really great. For those of you who already do, thank you so much for being part of the community and helping us. It's really nice that you do that. Anyway, so Ash, any other housekeeping to take care of? We got a few things.
Few things.
Yeah, I'm excited about this.
The first thing is our weekly plug for Emily. She is, I feel like I can say, a good friend of mine. We met her. We've never actually met her. I always say that. But we have been chatting, and we came into contact through the podcast. And she is a vacation planner, and she's super sweet, you guys. She's really nice. As many of you know, I don't like a lot of people. I like Emily. She's really great. Thought you would laugh. No, nothing. Okay.
I don't like a lot of people.
I don't. No,
Whereas me, I'm not like that. I love her.
Yeah, I don't. No, but Emily is super sweet, super knowledgeable. If you're looking to work with someone on a vacation, she is the person that you should contact. And she can book anything, but she specializes in Disney and Universal. And she can book cruises too, and all-inclusive resorts. Of course, like with any vacation planner, it's at no cost to you, so that's nice. And then she helps you with all the other stuff. Dining, fast passes, monitor for savings. She can schedule airport transfers for you, and create customized itineraries for you and your family. And I said this last week, but right now, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but the Disney wait times on, like, if you're calling Disney, they're like extreme. It's just crazy.
Gosh, it's
so
crazy.
It's really nice to work with a vacation planner because they kind of take care of all of that for you. So something to think about. And if you're interested, you can contact her via email at emily@magicalmousetravel.com, and then just let her know that we sent you over.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And also, we've got a couple other cool things, right? So you guys, what's really neat about the Disney fan community and the Disney just community in general, and theme park community, is the amount of just, inspiration that we all draw from it. And we just, there's so many different things that people do. They make, there's us. We create content every single week,
right,
with our charming personalities. Saps. And then we also
Very charming.
Yes, very charming. You look really nice today. And then also,
Wait, I don't have any makeup on, and this is how he speaks to me.
You do look nice.
You were saying it sarcastically. Don't even try and cover. You're the worst. You're the reason I'm mean. You have made me a Slytherin. I hate you.
You do, though. Your eyes are still very, very pretty.
My eyes, just that?
Everything else is questionable. All right. So, no.
Heard it. It's forever recorded.
I'm kidding. All right. So, what's really great about it is that it inspires, right? And it creates this whole outlet for people that have a knack for things and want to explore different things and do different things and try things. And some of those are the incredible amount of like sign people that make signs.
Oh yeah, like
signage,
home decor. Stuff that's Disney inspired.
Right.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Ash. Tell us what.
I don't know.
Oh, we don't have any. Oh, we're not going to have. Okay, I thought there was something.
I thought you were.
Aren't we doing some sort of giveaways or something like that?
I don't have information on that.
Oh,
yet.
Okay. So
Mind
this is still in the works, but
yes.
we've got some cool things, some cool partnerships that we're cooking up. Okay. But I'm getting the.
Why don't you just move on to other things?
No.
You weren't involved in it. You didn't do
I have no idea
about
what you're talking
You
about.
made zero effort. I did it.
No, but you always yell at me. You always yell at me about this being your podcast, so
you only use that when it's convenient for you.
I'm just staying out of it.
I thought you were going to talk about having people on the podcast.
Well,
Why don't
that
you
too.
Speak to the things that you know. Why don't you stick to that?
Call the
Tell me that my face doesn't
look good? I did say it looked good. You're totally twisting my words.
I'm going to put a pull up. I think everyone's going to agree with me.
Gosh. All right, anyway. So, okay, ladies and gents. Today we're going to head right back into Universal Studios.
Are you going to
Islands
talk
of
about
Adventure.
People that want to
what else? We already talked about that.
Yeah, but you have to say it every time.
We're going to have more people talking about Disney on the podcast. special interviews, special guests.
We only have one, so we're asking if you would like to be a part of it. Get your crap together, man. Or you're going to be fired. It's my podcast. No one cares about your face anyways. Don't spit out your coffee.
You're going to be fired. Okay. Sorry, I just think it's funny. Ashley's being really mean. Okay. All right, so we're good, right? Can we go back? Can we go now into
now
the
we
podcast?
can, now that you didn't do any of your job.
I did a lot of my
The
job.
announcer screwed up for the third week in a row. The announcer is you.
No, the announcer is not me.
Who is it then?
It's the announcer. It's his name.
That's his name?
That's his
given
name,
birth
the
name?
announcer.
That's on his birth certificate?
Yes.
Wow.
Is BC. All right, so we're heading back into Universal's Islands of Adventure Park, and we talked already about Marvel Superhero Island, Toon Lagoon, Jurassic Park, Wizarding World, Hogsmeade, and now we're talking about the rest. So we're going to talk about the Lost Continent and Seuss Landing today. And it's interesting, too, because the Lost Continent is been cut into...
I was going to say, what is it even?
It's like cut in half now, basically, because it's not really around anymore. Because it used to be much, much bigger. And the reason why it used to be much, much bigger is because Dueling Dragons was the main attraction over here at Lost Continent. And Dueling Dragons is now on the site of the Wizarding World and Diagon Alley and Hogsmeade. But lucky for you guys, Ash and I have both been on Dueling Dragons. So
Lucky for you guys.
Lucky for you guys.
Maybe we were on it at the same time.
We could have been. Oh my gosh.
Maybe you were on... I always picked ice, so...
We always mixed it up. You know.
No, I mean, I
You were always
assume
ice.
If we had to pick who was who, you're definitely fire.
Yeah, because I'm
And I'm just mean to everyone, ice cold.
Yeah, you are. That's true. Okay, so I'm passion and love and Valentine's
Ooh.
red and love. All right. Anyway, okay.
Gross.
You're making it gross. You're making it gross.
I don't
So
think
Dueling
so.
Dragons was a really cool dueling roller coaster where your legs just dangled. Your feet just dangled. And you just flew around.
I did.
It was cool because when you were on the actual coaster, you could see the other coaster, and you could get. Sometimes it felt like you were really close to each other.
I have thoughts about this. Can I talk about this for a second?
This is what we're on. Yes, this is a podcast where we talk about theme park stuff. So yes.
Everyone, this is JV's last podcast.
Idiots.
Well, no, I wanted to make sure it was fine that I interjected here. You know what? You say that, and I feel like for me, I never like you don't really notice the other side of the coaster unless you're in the front. You might get like real quick flashes of other people's feet. Like, but I felt like from a distance, it looked really cool. Like the concept is really neat. But when you're on the coaster itself, you couldn't. It was more just about the coaster you were on. There was no sense of, like, this other coaster being right there. I mean...
I always saw the other coaster.
No, you could see it, but I felt... It's one of those, the type of ride vehicle where, unless you're in the front, you can't really see what's going on.
True. It helps to be in the front. It does. It does.
And I asked all of my friends that were on it, too. I'm like, if you hadn't known, would you have been super aware of this? And they said no. You know, so I know you're going to try and play the I'm dumb card. But I really feel like it's one of those things that is cool as a concept, but it wasn't really... It made it exciting when you're waiting in line and picking a side and that type of thing. But beyond that, it didn't really add anything to the ride experience for me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you know, that's okay. That's totally fine. And, you know, it's funny because if you say that, that's probably indicative of many other, you know, dumb people's opinions in the world. No.
I mean, were you super
I get
aware
you.
of the whole... I mean, because they weren't. They would sometimes go the opposite direction.
No,
and there were
no.
a few places where they crossed over,
I
but it
do-
wasn't super...
Yeah, no,
like, wow, we're going to hit that no, you don't.
I'm with you. No, I'm with you. I do feel like if you were in a different part of the coaster, you would definitely, unless you knew where to look, you wouldn't really feel it. Now, of course, the more I went on it, the more I was aware of like trying to look at the other coaster and see where it was. So that made it more thrilling.
Because I think there's a part where they're both kind of headed towards each other, but then they both go up in a loop.
Right,
like,
right.
backwards. And I think if you're in the front, that would be really cool. But if you're anywhere else besides the front, all you can see is the row in front of you.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's
because you're below the track.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're talking as if it's still there. It's not there anymore. It's gone.
Yeah.
But it was a really fun, very intense coaster, and I almost think that this is one of those rides where the line queue may have been better than the ride. Like the line queue
I agree.
for Dueling Dragons was incredible.
I mean, not just was the line queue incredible, but I think just the perspective on like the two sides, like it made it more exciting when you're waiting in line.
Yeah.
And I think that to me was like a bigger part of it than when you were actually on the ride.
Right. So there was like the first off, it was a very long queue line because they figured that this ride would be very, very popular, which it was with the first few years, of the theme park. The ride was always jammed. So the line queue was super long. Like if it was empty, it felt like you were walking for a decent amount of time before you actually got to the onboarding area. So you walk up to it. Well, first up, the entrance was like set on steps, and the gateway was the two dragon statues, like really cool, like medieval stone, dragons.
The theming was, it was awesome.
And then you walked sort of through this like medieval forested area, sort of. And then you go into the castle. And then the first thing you notice when you're in the castle is you notice that the castle has been basically decimated by this huge battle between the ice dragon and the fire dragon. And you look up and there's like a chandelier that's all frozen over. And like in a night also, as you go further on, that's all frozen over. And then you walk into this like very kind of narrow, dark, medieval castle, and it's just really creepy in there.
Yeah,
there's also all this lore around you and different things that you can kind of learn. And like the theming was so well done, and I remember that sticking out in my mind when I first went to Islands of Adventure back in '99 when it opened. Just being blown away by that level of detail in the line alone. Like it was like, this is so cool. Like this is Universal's done this right, because before Universal's line queues weren't necessarily like that well themed. Like over in Universal Studios,
right?
Like there's not a lot of line queues that are that themed, with the exception of Kong, which was then turned into the Mummy.
You know what's interesting? Side note, and I don't know if this ever was the case, but
E.T. was kind of cool.
Dueling Dragons, like the theming, kind of lends itself well to what Harry Potter, like, you know what I mean? Like could have.
Well, they did keep it around. They called it Dragon Challenge.
Oh, okay. See, I thought that there was some,
and now Hagrid's
time when they did something like that.
Hagrid's is now there.
Right.
So
okay.
So yeah. So it was called Dragon Challenge, and it was still around for a long time. But like it was just. I mean, there's a game I'm playing right now on PS5, which is actually an older game, but it was released in 2010, and Dueling Dragons came out in 1999. I swear to you, I think the developers of this game went to Dueling Dragons and were like, "Oh, let's make this a level in one of our video games," because it's so similar. The first level of this game is so similar. There's even a red dragon and a blue dragon. Like, I'm not kidding. Like,
Wow.
there's a red dragon and a blue dragon. I mean, it's just like, it's literally Dueling Dragons the game.
Yeah.
So if you're a big Universal history fan and Universal Islands of Adventure fan, and if you have a PlayStation 3 or a PlayStation 5, I just suggest the PS5 version of Demon's Souls. The first level is legit, no joke, Dueling Dragons. So, all right. So, what do you give Dueling Dragons, Ash? Like, if you were to give it a
I would
score,
give it. Now, to be fair, I only went on it twice. Once when I was 16, and once when I was 21.
Okay.
And I definitely remember when I was 16, we waited. The queue was full. When I was 21, it wasn't. We walked through most of it. I don't know if that was just a time of year type of thing, but anyways.
Right.
I feel like I would give it. I'm an 8.
Okay.
The reason being is just because of the type of coaster it is. Like I said, basically, if you're not in the front row, your experience is drastically impacted.
Right.
The queue is awesome, like you're saying. It's really neat. I think it's themed really well. I like the idea. The coaster's intense, and that's, the whole picking a side thing is fun. Fire or ice. But yeah, I just feel like it's a great ride experience if you're in the front. If you're not in the front, it's really, you're just looking at the back. You guys know what kind of coaster. I don't know what it's called, but it's, you're hanging down below and your feet are dangling and you're below the track.
I don't,
when you're sitting on top of the track, it doesn't really matter if you're in the front. You can see around you more.
Yeah.
When this type of ride, it's just, I feel like with what they did, it could have been different in terms of like the type of coaster they did.
There's a cool thing we didn't think about too. You get to a certain like tower, and the tower has the lore, and then you choose like you could go fire or you could go I'm sorry, fire was on the right, I believe, and blue was on the left. So you just, I think, and then you chose like, do you want to be on the blue coaster or the right coaster? And then there's always that fun debate like which one's better, and then people I don't know.
Well, and just a side note real quick, we are we live in Illinois, so growing up, we would go to Six Flags in Gurnee, and one of the oldest roller coasters there, I think the original one, is American Eagle. And if you're from here, you can hear JB blowing his nose super loud in the bathroom. If you know. But there's two different sides. There's a blue side. The coaster is blue, and the other side is red. And it's the type of coaster where you sit on top of the track. And there's always these theories about which one ends up winning and which one's more intense and which one's, whatever. But the most fun part of that coaster is when you're going up the hill and you're next to each other and one's slightly going faster than the other one and then it switches. It's the part where it's the competition.
Yeah.
And then the end when you're back together and there's parts of the coaster where you're next to each other again. And I think that's one thing that this coaster misses, because you're basically separate the whole time, which I get, but it kind of, the queue makes you feel less that way, and then when you get on there, I think the experience is it's not a 10, it's an 8 for me.
Okay. Yeah, so having ridden the Hulk, like having rode or ridden road Roads.
Rode it.
Roads. All right, so having just experienced the Hulk coaster, and then going to Dueling Dragons, I think juxtaposed with the Hulk, it's just not as good of a coaster, right?
It's think
still great.
It's leaning on the fire and ice competition type
and the
situation where, by itself, I feel like if you're viewing it as a coaster, it doesn't measure up
to the Hulk.
No.
Yeah. So if it was just a coaster, I would give it a 7. But because of that cool castle and that whole experience, I bump it. I'm not kidding, because it's so memorable to me. I bump it to a 9, the whole experience. And it's variety, because you could go and try both sides and see which one you like better. So I don't know. Something to think about. Okay, so Now, we just spent forever talking about a ride that's no longer there.
All right.
But that's okay. Because this is the Magic in the Midwest podcast.
Can we pause for a sec?
Why? Yeah. We spent a lot of time talking about it, but it was really a big part of the Islands of Adventure experience, and it was part of the park where people really loved the Lost Continent. Like, people really gravitated towards this. What was neat about it too is that it was sort of like original, like it didn't rely on a
That's what I was going to say. I think that's why people gravitated towards it.
established IP. It was sort of like, yes, it had legendary characters, like Atlantis and Merlin and Sinbad and that type of thing, but it was still sort of Universal coming up with their own thing. Mm-hmm. And there were rumors, even way back then, that Universal was trying to get Lord of the Rings for this section of the park.
Oh, okay.
But that they couldn't quite land that. It wasn't ready for prime time yet, the Lord of the Rings thing. So the Lord of the Rings movies hadn't even come out yet. But there was talk, and there's still rumors, that moving forward, there may be a Lord of the Rings, section in the new park. And there's also a lot of talk that Wicked will be getting its own section of the park. Isn't that crazy? Like Oz?
Okay.
Like an Oz section? Yeah. So, kind of interesting.
Okay, well, we'll see.
We'll see. And that was floated as a rumor to take over for Marvel Superhero Island.
No.
Like if Disney were to break that deal.
Okay, so they're not going to do it unless Disney...
The lawyers somehow, I don't know how they're. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
I don't think so either.
All right, so other things in Lost Continent. So Dueling Dragons is gone. So really, Lost Continent right now is sort of like there's only a couple things left. There's the restaurant, which is Mythos Restaurant, and then Poseidon's Fury. That's it. That's really it. There used to be a stunt show, but the stunt show's gone. The 8th Voyage of Sinbad stunt show. But it's totally gone. So we don't even have to worry about it. Right?
Okay.
So we, there you go. So really, Mythos Restaurant, I've never actually been in Mythos, but some of our friends have. And for years it had this banner on it that said,
I was going to ask if this is the one.
Number one theme park restaurant in the world.
Like from 2006.
From 2006. And then they left that banner up
but it's still,
for years
but now
and years
it's not
and years.
good.
Right.
Right?
So I don't know. I've heard that it's not as good. But it is a signature dining experience.
Oh, okay.
At Islands of Adventure, which there are none. There's nowhere else in Islands of Adventure to eat that's like a sit-down signature dining type of situation.
Okay.
So that's the only thing. So, and then of course there was Poseidon's Fury, which is like a walk-through attraction. Did you go on this? Where you go through that tunnel of water with the jets? And it's like
maybe.
That was cool. Like I remember first going in Poseidon's Fury, which is really this very cheesy sort of walk-through attraction 3D show. About Greek mythology.
I think we did. I'll be honest. I don't really remember from when I was 16, but if it was there when I was 21,
you probably maybe.
Everyone else was hungover except for me and my friend Tracy. So we were kind of doing everything by ourselves.
Okay.
But I feel like that sounds like I'm picturing something.
Yeah.
So maybe we did.
Maybe. So it's a fun show, but the best part about that was this water tunnel. Yeah. With these crazy centrifugal force fueled tunnels.
Okay.
And you just walk through because Poseidon is obviously the god of the sea, and you walk through into this portal, and it's the jets. And then you go into this big amphitheater, and there's like special effects and a big battle between Poseidon and I forget who. But it's cool.
Cool.
So that's still there. And outside of Poseidon's Fury, which is it's a cool structure, there's like a big, huge hand holding the trident, Poseidon's hand, like giant statue, like crumbling stone statue. There is a cool water fountain, interactive water fountain right out there too. Fountain. Yeah. And you walk around and it talks to you. And you could talk back and talks to the little kids. And,
Okay.
yeah, kind of
Cool.
neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really, Lost Continent, there is some neat picture opportunities if you like walk down by Mythos. If you walk down, there's like some cool rock work, like walkways. It's funny, Islands of Adventure is full of these walkways that are close to the water that no one ever is in.
Yeah.
No one knows they're there.
Yep.
No one goes there. So there's really good photo opportunities for you if you ever want to go down to those areas.
Especially for me right now. I look really good.
You look great.
Thank you.
So yeah. So that's a key thing to understand. So then our final section of, obviously I think Lost Continent, I don't know, when it was at its full force, it was probably like an 8, 7, 8. Now it's, I don't know if you can really rate it. I don't think it's fair because it's sort of just kind of there now. It's
Right.
this weird thing. They need to do something there. Hopefully they'll be able to open up something bigger, or maybe they've got Potter plans for that area too, for the rest of it. All right, so and then of course we head into the one dedicated really for smaller children, is Seuss Landing. And this is a very big section of the park.
It is.
Like, it's actually really a big footprint for Islands of Adventure.
It is. Last time we were there, I was like, oh, yeah, I don't remember how big of a land this is.
Yeah, it's legit. It is definitely nothing to sneeze at, All right, so Seuss Landing obviously is inspired by... So Universal Studios has the rights to a lot of the Dr. Seuss properties and obviously the theme park rights. So if you're familiar with their sort of artistic take on Dr. Seuss, it does use the book's illustrations, but it also kind of gives it its own spin, makes it kind of cartoony and more three-dimensional, I guess, obviously, because it's, but there is, so you get, green eggs and ham is like a place where you could go get some food, some breakfast, but it's not open all the time, I don't think. You've got the Cat in the Hat ride.
Yep.
Do you remember going on that?
I do.
So it's really just a dark ride.
Yeah.
Right? That goes through the book.
Yeah. I don't remember like a ton about it, but I remember being on it. And it was, it was cute.
Right.
You're not going to get off the ride and be like, whoa. But it's cute. It's a cute ride.
Yeah. And then you've got, it was a dark ride, similar to something you would find in Fantasyland, I guess, right?
Kind of like Winnie the Pooh or...
Yeah, yes.
Something like that.
I would say that it's probably close to Winnie the Pooh.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you've got one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish, which is really just a spin ride, where kids get on different fish and they just go around in a circle. And the coolest thing is the High in the Sky Seuss Trolley, which is really Universal's people mover.
Right.
Where you just kind of go around, and you just go high above Seuss Landing and you go all around it, which is actually kind of cool.
I think we did that, and we, enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't think I've done it. Maybe I did it once. You've done it with your buddies.
I feel like we did do that.
Okay. So you liked it.
Again, like the people mover, it's just, you're kind of up there and you have a different view. That's pretty much it.
That's
it's
pretty
relaxing,
much it. Okay.
It's nice, but yeah.
Again, also there's the carousel, which is just a carousel, going on characters from Dr. Seuss's books. And I guess, this is it's funny. I feel like our friends, especially one of our friends, probably has spent more time in this area because she usually brings her she brought her younger daughter to this area. I don't really know, how to like rate and review this because it's like, I'm not a kid and I didn't bring a kid there.
Right.
So I don't really know.
For me, I mean, I think that it's themed really well. And
it is.
If you're a Dr. Seuss fan, if you like the books, I'm sure a lot of people grew up reading some of the Dr. Seuss books. I mean, it's themed really well. It's cute. It kind of looks like you're in, the Dr. Seuss type world.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, when you go into everything's themed, even in the shops and stuff like that. The Thing 1, Thing 2 shirts are big. You see those.
Yeah, you
people
see those
wearing those
a
in
lot.
the park.
Yeah.
Parks. So, I mean, I think it's really, I think it's really cute. Again, we've never had Harrison there to experience that, and to see what he would think of it. But I mean, I think it's cute. We never spend a ton of time in there, but we do, walk into the shops and look around, and we don't really decide to wait to ride the Cat in the Hat ride.
No,
that's not what we're doing there. But I would think that most kids really enjoy this part of the park.
Yeah.
Because it's silly. I mean, because of the nature of what Dr. Seuss, it's just silly and fun, and everything is kind of oddly shaped and, and colorful. It's cute.
Yeah. It is. It is really, it is a neat area. And again, there's a playground area too over here, so little kids can just go play. And again, there's a huge trail as well. So if you want to let's say it's a crowded day at Islands and you want to head to Harry Potter, which everyone just flies to Harry Potter. Like, they don't even, people sometimes don't even go to Superhero Island.
Yeah.
Because that's further away.
I mean, it's kind of like the new Fantasyland Seven Doors Mine Train. Everyone just goes there. They don't even go to Space Mountain anymore.
Yeah. Most people are just skirting right through Seuss Landing to get to the, Lost Isthmus. I guess it shouldn't be a lost continent anymore. It should be called the Lost Isthmus. Okay. And then you head into Harry Potter. So
what's funny is that I think we're all a little guilty of that. Like, everyone I talk to that has reached out from the podcast and friends that listen to the podcast talk about how there's certain parts of World Showcase, whatever, that you kind of have this comfort zone of places that you like and places that your family has gone or wherever, that in the parks that you just sort of gravitate to those places, and you get used to just sort of ignoring the other places because, that's not something that your family has done or has a special moment in that place. So, there are friends of mine that have gone to Disney every year, and there are certain parts of the World Showcase that they just go by. They just don't go in there, and it's like a habit too.
Yes.
And I know you're talking about more about what's popular. Obviously, Harry Potter is super popular. Everyone runs in there. But I think we're all a little guilty of that. And not that it's a bad thing, but we have these things that we like to do, and we do the same thing over and over again,
Yes.
But I think you
get kind of in
this is what we like. JB and I always eat in the Mexico Pavilion, the one outside, that restaurant outside. We really like it.
Yes.
Rarely do we, if we're looking for a go-to in Epcot World Showcase, that's the one we're both going to say.
Right.
If we're looking for a nicer sit-down, we're probably going to try and get into the Rosenground. That's just, we do the same thing.
Yes, we do.
We might try out one different restaurant a trip. Yeah. But for the most part, we're you can kind of catch yourself going through the motions sometimes. And it's not bad to like something and to go back.
Yeah.
But we all kind of do that, so...
Yeah, you do get into your patterns, and sometimes it's good to kind of try and bust out of those, right? But I mean, at the same time, you like what you like, and you do what you do. Mm-hmm. Some people, go into a theme park is hell on earth to them. They want to go up to their lake house and be at their lake house, which is totally fine.
And fish and be in the quiet. And some people could go to Vero Beach and be there for 2 weeks.
Yeah, to each their own.
Absolutely.
So there is, so if you're, it's like I said, if it's a busy day, there's another whole walkway hugging the lagoon in Isles of Adventure in Seuss Landing where you can bypass the crowds and walk along the water.
Yeah.
And just totally be kind of chill and on your own. And you really can.
Yeah.
So
that would be
again
the route I would like to take.
Something to think about when you're heading there. Okay, so Seuss Landing, I just don't know what to give it. I can't honestly review this. I really can't. If I were to review it just from like a aesthetic standpoint, I would give it probably a 9. I mean, it's really cool. Like it's geometrically, it's all sorts asymmetrical everywhere. Like it's just kind of really a neat area.
Yeah, it is.
So, but other than that, I just, I don't know what to give it. But I know one of my friends, Tony got we went to Horror Nights, and this was when Horror Nights was in Isles of Adventure, and he got his face painted like a evil clown.
Oh.
In Seuss Landing.
Oh my gosh.
And Seuss Landing was just bathed in this like fluorescent light, which was kind of cool. So he looked really, really creepy. Yeah. He looked creepy in general.
Right. This really
amped
it up.
Creepier.
Up a notch.
Right, exactly. All right. No. So now we're not leaving islands. So here's a unique thing that Universal did which was very smart on the marketing and operations part of this Harry Potter deal that they got. They have what's called the Hogsmeade Station, okay? Where you can get on the Hogsmeade Station of the train, the Hogwarts Express, and you can take the Hogwarts Express experience back into Diagon Alley and King's Cross Station, platform 9 3/4.
Yeah.
Okay? So there is this whole other experience that we haven't talked about yet. So you can wait in line at the Hogsmeade, and you get on the train, and really, it's interesting because really it's just a train that goes back and forth, like on one train track. Just goes back and forth to one park or the other. But it's neat. It's neat to get on you feel like you're really getting on an old steam train. And there's screens within the train that kind of simulate to you, a countryside.
Okay.
And then, you leaving the station, and you got the countryside on your way to, Hogsmeade or Diagon Alley, which is kind of cool.
I've never been on it.
Sometimes there's Dementors that attack the train.
Ooh, I would like that.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's a neat experience, but you need a 2-park pass.
Indeed you do.
To do that.
How clever.
How clever of Universal Studios Florida.
So I'm assuming most people buy, if you're a Potter fan, I mean, there's no way you're not going to buy the 2 parks.
Yeah, you're going to.
Just for that.
Yeah. And to be honest, you could probably do both parks in one day if you have a good day. If it's completely open, you can. Although the weird thing about Universal parks is that whenever there's a new attraction, the lines are so ridiculous. It's way more ridiculous than Disney, because Disney has way more things to do and places to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas I remember your sister saying that when they went to Diagon Alley when it first opened, didn't they wait like 8 hours?
Something like that.
Or the line was like 7 hours to get on the
and
Green
Holly and
Gots.
Pete said the same thing. They waited like 8 hours or 7 hours.
To get on Green Gots. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'd be so disappointed if I waited 7 hours for that.
Right. We're going to get to that.
I would never wait 7 hours for those. There are people that love to do that type of thing, and I'm not, I'm not one of those people. I'm just not. I will wait. Like, I was actually glad when I found out our trip in 2019 was a few days before they were going to open Galaxy's Edge. Even though I really wanted to do Galaxy's Edge, but I just knew it would be jammed. And so I'm like, you know what? I'd rather just wait. I'm glad we
it's
don't
actually
have to
funny. It
deal
wound
with
up not being jabbed because everyone thought the same way you did.
Really?
Do you remember that when Galaxy's Edge first opened? Nobody was going to Galaxy's
And
Edge.
I didn't care because Rise of the Resistance wasn't.
Right,
open.
no one was going there. Disney was like, "Uh-oh."
Well, I mean, they super marketed the Rise of the Resistance thing, and then they're like, oh, we're opening it, but without Rise of the Resistance.
Right.
So I think people were like, oh, for a lot of people, if you're just going to go once every few years, you're going to wait till both attractions are open.
Yeah.
It's different for locals, and I'm sure then locals thought, everyone's going to go, so I'm not going to go right now. And then that's what happened.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So interesting. So anyway, so that what I'm saying is, there it goes. What I'm saying is that like that sort of thing happens when they open something new, like Hagrid's forever. Which, by the way, Hagrid's is still not operationally sound. It breaks down almost every single day.
Do you think it's because of, and without giving any spoilers, I mean, obviously we haven't been on it, but we know a little bit about it. Because of the
nature
what it
of the
does,
ride, yeah. I think so. It has to be.
So it's just going to be that
You're
for
right.
a long time, maybe forever.
You would think they would have maybe over the shutdown tried to like maybe I don't know.
Maybe they did.
Or maybe it's already
Right
issues
now,
have bubbled back up.
Hagrid's is like a reservation system, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Kind of
So-
like Rise.
Right. I think you're right.
I think it is.
So anyway, so basically you go into, the Hogwarts Express is another whole experience. So that's something that you've got to think about. If you're going to Universal, do you want that 2-park pass? Because there is a whole experience of Harry Potter that you would be missing if you don't do that. So, and that basically brings us to Universal Studios, which we'll pick up, when on the next podcast.
Okay.
Or the next mainline podcast, theme
Mainline.
park podcast.
Indeed.
So, anything else to add, Ash?
No, just that, we always love hearing from you guys. So if you have thoughts on this or opinions, which is the same as thoughts, then you can email us.
And we apologize for maybe not going as in-depth into Seuss Landing, if some of you are big-time Seuss Landing fans.
We just haven't really experienced
But
it
we-
in the way that I think most people do with their kids. So
Right.
if you have, experiences that you want to share there, we would love to hear them.
And I think that's something that Universal, when they open this third park, right, Epic Universe, will they address the demographic situation? Because really, their demographics are older kids and older
Yeah, I have something I
families.
want to add to this. When you're
Go
done.
ahead.
Well, here's the thing. We know a lot of people that take their young kids to Universal, and that's all great. I'm not super inclined to do that because I feel like there's not a lot for Harrison to do. He is getting older, but he also is more, tentative to go on more, like, whatever that
Thrilling
is. Intense
rides.
rides.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So, and I know people say, like, oh, they're, but I don't want to pay $115 or $120 for him to walk in the door and only be able to participate at Seuss Landing. Like, that to me is not worth it for my kid and what he likes to do.
Yeah.
But I will say that Universal has a better rider swap thing going on than
Right.
Disney. Like Disney, you have to wait off to the side and go through the fast pass lane, although I don't know what they're doing right now due to COVID. But if JB and I took Harrison and wanted to go on Hulk, he's not tall enough to go on, we could all wait in line together.
Right.
And one person go on and then switch, which is nice. You're not totally separated, meaning like one person's in a store while the other person's there. But still, Harrison's still not doing anything.
Yeah.
So like there's that, I like the rider swap situation better. But is it worth it for Harrison to stand in line with us all day?
Yeah.
For me, if your kid loves all the rides, that's different. Harrison is not all about that. But it's always interesting to see. And I mean, I think for the most part, people agree. You see way less strollers at Universal than you do in Disney.
Yeah.
I mean, by a lot, I think. There are strollers there, but a lot less.
Well, it brings me back to, when I decided when I was like in my early 20s, me and my friends, I basically said to my friends, I was like, let's go to Universal. Like, I didn't even say, let's go to Disney. Like, I was like, let's not. It wasn't even, I was like, we were adults, and this was the place to go in Central Florida if you were in your 20s and whatever.
Well, and I kind of like that one, that Universal tends to attract less kids for that exact reason. I'm glad they have Seuss Landing, and there's like that section
E.T.,
of Curious George is there too.
Right.
And the other, that's Studios, right?
Right.
It's in Studios. So that's nice. But I do like that it is more adult, older kid focused.
Yes.
I think that that's good, and they should lean into that. I know that this other park, I'm going to call it the third park, because Volcano Bay is not a park. If you think that, get off the podcast. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it'll be interesting to see if it kind of follows suit. It's still a lot of, maybe it leans more like a little bit younger kids, but still more thrilling rides. It'll be interesting to see what they do.
Okay. Yeah. I do. Yes. I'm wondering if their goal, are they like, because for right now, they've positioned themselves, really still in that they have Halloween Horror Nights, which is a very, very mature, rated event.
Which is awesome, and I think
which
it's
we love.
So smart and great of them to do that. I think it's good that it's not Mickey's Not So Scary. Shouldn't be. Don't compete. Do your own thing.
Right. So, but I'm wondering with Epic Universe if, like, this in Universal's mind is the Magic Kingdom target attack. You know what I'm saying? Like, will Epic Universe be Universal's Magic Kingdom? Like, are they going to make it that way? Like how many... It's going to be interesting to see the height requirements when it finally gets built. You know what I mean? And it's going to be interesting to see the types of things that they do.
I think it is going to be geared more towards little kids. Their goal in the end, I think, is to have people want to stay for a longer period of time on property. Like, make this... I know there are people out there that go... Like, I know people that go for 5 days to Universal. I personally don't know what you're doing for those 5 days. Like, to me, there's something new you can do at Disney for 5 days and still not do everything.
Right,
Universal, I feel like you must be repeating things.
Right.
I don't know what you're doing for 5 days.
As far as attractions
go, right?
Restaurants, no. There's plenty of restaurants.
But if you're going with your kids, are you, like, doing a bunch of dining experiences? Probably not. But I know a lot of people that do it. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, for me personally, I think about what can Harrison do. So I think they're really trying to make it like that. What can we add that is going to make it more of a destination for families that can stay for 5 days?
Do you think, and this is just, I just want to float this past you right now. This will be something when we delve deep into Universal Studios, which will be in a couple of weeks. Do you think that Universal Studios Florida, the theme park, Universal Studios Florida, its justification for existing is Halloween Horror Nights? Its justification for not doing much to it.
Yes.
There is so...
that's my
I don't want to go too
this,
deep into it.
Yeah, no,
but
that's my biggest issue with this third or / fourth park is that, you have a park right here that's in dire need
a lot of help.
It's like empty.
There's
like whole lanes where there's no stores. It's just pretend stores. And there's nothing. There's nothing there. Name 4 attractions on that side that you want to do.
Well, I could name...
No, that you want to do.
I could name...
Don't name 4 attractions.
I could name 2.
2.
That I would be must do. And that's E.T. and the Mummy.
Okay, what else is there?
That's it for me. Diagon Alley's awesome.
Okay, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Which is strategic on their part.
But
I think it's not just HHN. It's Diagon Alley, so it's that part of the Harry Potter universe, and it's HH. They don't. I feel like to me, it's just like Disney does this too, guys. I criticize both.
Right, Epcot
things.
was really in a lot. Future World was
Still
in
is.
dire straits, and now it's getting love. But for a long time, for about maybe a decade, if not longer,
Yeah.
Future World was in bad shape.
You know, it's like, you guys, the future world is like the future from 1979,
1982.
1982, whatever.
Right.
But I think that there's a lot they could do there. I mean, they basically used the space for HHN.
Right. Or
You know?
1980? Yeah, go ahead.
You
Yeah.
know, I feel like that's what
They
they use it
do.
for, these
They
big
do.
warehouses. And it's like, in the end, people that are Harry Potter fans are going to buy that other ticket and they're going to go. And people that are coming here for multiple days are going to go to the other park because there's only 2 parks. So people are paying to do it. And ultimately, I feel like that's what happens with Disney and Universal. In the end, if people are, like at Hollywood Studios, for instance, there was a point when there was like 4 attractions open. The price to get in wasn't any cheaper. People were still paying to go.
Right.
And so if that's happening, they're just like, okay, well, what do we really need to fix here? Nothing.
Yeah. So I think there's just we'll get way more in depth into that soon, but you know, it's something really that I think is fascinating because Universal Studios, when it opened in 1990, was one of my favorite parks of all time. Like when it the whole original Universal Studios was just really exciting. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about the state of it today.
Too.
Yeah.
I really, honestly, I feel like when I said, like, what are you doing there for 5 days? I do
A
understand.
little harsh.
I know, but I do understand that just the nature of Universal is a lot easier to handle. It's a lot less planning. It's a lot less,
Yeah.
like 4 parks that are kind of not super close together. The convenience of Universal is super appealing.
Yes.
I totally get
Yeah.
that. And there's a lot of fun things to do there.
There are.
So I was not trying to be super Slytherin. It just came out that way.
Very slith today.
Yeah.
So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, from the Midwest. See you later.